Sanford and Son, 1972 to 1978, was more than just a sitcom. It was a groundbreaking show that brought raw humor, unforgettable catchphrases, and bold cultural commentary to American television. Led by the legendary Redd Foxx, the series became a staple in households across the country, thanks to its sharp wit and vibrant cast of characters. But behind the laughter and iconic one-liners lies a more somber reality. Many of the talented actors who gave life to the show's magic have sadly passed away. In this tribute, we look back at their lives, their careers, and the tragic or untimely circumstances that marked their final days, honoring the stars who made Sanford and Son a true classic. Redd Foxx, who portrayed the cantankerous yet lovable junk dealer Fred G. Sanford, brought a streetwise charm and razor-sharp wit to the role that became his legacy. He was 49 when Sanford and Son began and delivered 135 unforgettable performances that balanced comedy with cultural commentary. However, off-screen, Fox's life was fraught with financial instability and turbulent relationships. He was married 4 times, each ending in divorce. His most publicized marriage to Ka Ho-cho, a South Korean dancer, was short-lived and marred by financial disagreements. Foxx had one daughter, Debraka, with whom his relationship was strained. After Sanford and Son, his career stalled, and he faced significant tax issues with the IRS, leading to bankruptcy despite earning millions. He died penniless on set in 1991 at age 68 from a massive heart attack. At the time of his death, his estate was reportedly worth only $11,000, and he had numerous debts. Though beloved by fans, Foxx battled loneliness, lawsuits, and declining health in his final years, ultimately leaving behind a complex legacy of brilliance clouded by personal hardship. LaWanda Page, who played the fiery and God-fearing Aunt Esther, was 52 when she debuted on Sanford and Son. Her character was a fan favorite, known for her biting comebacks and hilarious Bible-thumping feuds with Fred Sanford. Page was a stand-up comedian before acting, often billed as the Queen of Comedy, but her success in mainstream television came late in life. She was married once but divorced early, and never remarried. She had one daughter, Clara, whom she raised while juggling multiple jobs. Following Sanford and Son, her career slowed, and she struggled with typecasting, making only sporadic appearances in TV and film. Her later years were marred by declining health due to diabetes and respiratory illness. Despite being seen as a trailblazer, Page lived modestly, often relying on residuals and small club performances. She passed away in 2002 at age 81 from complications related to diabetes. Her estate was modest, estimated at under $150,000. Though she often battled loneliness and health issues, Page remained proud of her work, known for her deep spirituality and devotion to uplifting other Black female comedians. Whitman Mayo, best known as the slow-moving, absent-minded but endearing Grady Wilson, joined Sanford and Son at 42 and quickly became a fan favorite with his signature phrase, "Good goobly-goo." Off-screen, Mayo was a deeply intellectual man with a passion for theater and education. He was married 3 times. His second marriage to actress Gail Mayo produced a son, Ron, though the couple later divorced. His third marriage was plagued by financial disputes and long periods of separation. After the show ended, Mayo struggled to find steady work, often cast in similar elderly roles despite his relatively young age. He taught drama at Clark Atlanta University and worked with youth programs, but his acting career never regained its former momentum. Mayo battled depression and diabetes in his later years. He passed away in 2001 at age 70 from a heart attack. His estate was estimated at around $300,000, with much of it tied to real estate and teaching work. Though he remained beloved by students and fans, Mayo's final years were quietly lived and marked by financial caution and a longing for more meaningful artistic fulfillment. Nathaniel Taylor, who played the slick and street-savvy Rollo Lawson, brought charisma and swagger to his role, becoming an underground icon for urban youth. He was 33 when he joined the show and appeared in 32 episodes. Taylor's character, though minor, resonated with fans, especially younger audiences who saw in Rollo a symbol of cool defiance. Sadly, Taylor's life was turbulent behind the scenes. He married once, to Loretta Taylor, and they had 2 sons, Eric and Nathaniel Jr., but his marriage was marked by infidelity and long separations due to his career pursuits. Post-Sanford and Son, Taylor was repeatedly arrested for drug possession and domestic issues. He faded from the spotlight and spent time incarcerated during the 1980s. After release, he attempted to work as a mentor to at-risk youth, but consistent employment eluded him. He suffered a debilitating stroke in 2018 and died in 2019 at age 80 from complications. His estate was modest, valued under $50,000. Though he found brief fame, Taylor's later years were marked by regret, isolation, and health challenges that overshadowed his early promise. Don Bexley, who portrayed Bubba Bexley, the loyal, jovial best friend of Fred Sanford, was already in his 50s when he began appearing on the show. Known for his comedic timing and contagious laugh, Bexley appeared in 43 episodes and remained a steady supporting presence. Off-camera, he had a more somber existence. Married once, his wife died young, and he never remarried. He had 3 children, Donald Jr., Vanessa, and Carlene, but relationships with them were strained, especially after he moved frequently in pursuit of acting work. After Sanford and Son, roles dried up, and Bexley struggled with depression and financial woes. He lived in relative obscurity, surviving on Social Security and fan donations in his final years. He was evicted multiple times and even lived briefly in a friend's basement. He passed away in 1997 at age 87 from heart and kidney failure. His estate was nearly bankrupt, with assets under $10,000. Despite the joy he brought audiences, Bexley's life ended in poverty and neglect, a harsh contrast to the warmth of the character he so lovingly portrayed. Raymond Allen, who portrayed Woody Anderson in Sanford and Son, appeared in 9 episodes as Aunt Esther's mild-mannered and frequently henpecked husband. His portrayal was soft-spoken and often comical, standing in stark contrast to the fiery Esther. Off-screen, Allen's life was filled with hardship. After the show, his acting opportunities dwindled, leading to decades of financial instability. He battled depression and health issues, including a debilitating stroke in the late 1980s that left him partially paralyzed and ended his career prematurely. He was married to Barbara Williams, with whom he had 2 children, Terrence Allen and Raymond Jr., but their marriage ended in a difficult divorce, reportedly caused by years of strain and Allen's mental health struggles. He remained distant from his children for many years, though reconciliation came near the end of his life. Allen spent much of his final decades in assisted living facilities in California, largely forgotten by Hollywood. He passed away in 2020 at the age of 91 due to respiratory failure. His estate was modest, estimated at under $100,000, as he never recovered financially from his career's decline. His later years were marked by loneliness, fading fame, and the quiet pain of having once been loved by audiences, only to be left behind. Gregory Sierra, best remembered as Julio Fuentes in Sanford and Son, brought warmth and depth to the role of Fred Sanford's kind-hearted Puerto Rican neighbor. Sierra appeared in 12 episodes, always exuding patience despite Fred's frequent jabs. Off-camera, his life was marked by significant personal challenges. Sierra was married to actress Helene Winston in the late 1970s, but the union ended after only 5 years due to mutual infidelity and long periods apart during filming commitments. He had no children, a fact he often said filled him with quiet regret later in life. Sierra struggled with alcohol dependency through much of the 1980s and briefly entered rehab in 1987. Though he found work in shows like Barney Miller, his career slowed dramatically by the 1990s, and he faced bouts of depression. A fire destroyed his home in 2001, and he lost many personal mementos from his acting days. Despite these hardships, he lived modestly in California and became active in local theater and community centers. He died in 2021 at age 83 after a long battle with stomach cancer. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated around $500,000. Though he faded from the spotlight, Sierra remained proud of his cultural representation on television and left behind a legacy of resilience and quiet dignity. Fritzi Burr, who appeared in 10 episodes of Sanford and Son in various roles, was a gifted character actress whose sharp wit and expressive eyes lit up every scene. She often played nosy neighbors or exasperated customers, always with impeccable comic timing. Despite her on-screen sparkle, Burr's personal life was anything but cheerful. She was married once to screenwriter Murray Weissman, but the relationship was fraught with emotional neglect, and they divorced after a decade. The couple had one daughter, Deborah, whom Burr raised mostly alone while juggling sporadic television roles. Her career never fully took off, leading to mounting debt in the 1980s. She struggled to find consistent work and was once forced to live in a cramped apartment in Van Nuys, barely scraping by. Burr also suffered from undiagnosed bipolar disorder for much of her adult life, which isolated her from colleagues and friends. In her later years, she became reclusive, often refusing interviews and public appearances. She passed away in 2003 at the age of 78 from complications of a stroke. Her estate was estimated at just $75,000. Though largely forgotten by the public, those who worked with her remember Burr as a deeply talented woman whose career was tragically overshadowed by her inner battles. Marlene Clark, who played Janet Lawson in 6 episodes of Sanford and Son, was portrayed as Lamont's sophisticated and independent love interest, a character that stood out in a show dominated by humor and chaos. Clark brought poise and grace to the role, yet behind the elegance lay a life marred by heartbreak and fading dreams. She had a brief marriage to actor Billy D. Williams in the 1970s, which ended in a swift and quiet divorce, with no children. Their split was attributed to conflicting career goals and personal differences. After her television appearances, Clark struggled to find substantive roles, often typecast or overlooked. She attempted to revive her career in the early 80s through stage work, but health issues, including chronic migraines and anxiety, made it difficult. She ran a restaurant briefly in Los Angeles, which folded after only 2 years. In later life, she moved to New York and lived in relative obscurity. Clark passed away in 2023 at the age of 73, reportedly from natural causes. Her net worth at the time was under $150,000, and she was living in a small Harlem apartment. Despite a career that once held great promise, Clark's life was a poignant reminder of how easily Hollywood forgets its brightest stars once they step away from the screen. Pat Morita, who portrayed the affable and slightly quirky Achu in 7 episodes of Sanford and Son, brought charm and warmth to a role that was often written with broad stereotypes. Morita, a Japanese-American actor, used humor to defuse prejudice both on screen and off. But behind the laughs was a history of pain and perseverance. As a child, he spent years in a sanitarium battling spinal tuberculosis and later was interned in a Japanese-American relocation camp during World War II. He was married 3 times, first to Kathleen Yamauchi, with whom he had 2 daughters, Allie and Tia. Their marriage ended in 1967 due to the strain of his fledgling career. He remarried twice more, with both relationships ending in divorce, partly due to his struggles with alcoholism. After the success of The Karate Kid, his career spiked, but roles dried up again by the 2000s, and he faced financial trouble. Morita also suffered from multiple health issues, including kidney failure and diabetes. Despite his fame, his final years were lonely, marked by declining health and separation from his children. He passed away in 2005 at the age of 73 from kidney failure. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated around $2.5 million, though legal disputes among heirs later diminished much of it. His story remains one of triumph, tragedy, and the price of resilience in the face of personal demons. Edward Andrews, who portrayed the character Julian in a single 1975 episode of Sanford and Son, was 60 at the time and known for bringing a subtly pompous charm to the uptight, bureaucratic role. A seasoned character actor long before his appearance on the show, Andrews was celebrated for playing mild-mannered but comically stern authority figures in both film and television. Behind the scenes, however, his life was less composed. Married to actress Emily and Graham for over 2 decades, the couple had 2 children, David and Caroline, but their marriage was marred by infidelity and long periods of estrangement. Their eventual divorce in the early 70s deeply affected him, and he became increasingly withdrawn. His career declined in the early 1980s, with health problems including deteriorating eyesight and emphysema limiting his ability to work. Friends described him as a man who smiled less with every year. He was reportedly estranged from his children at the time of his death and lived in relative obscurity during his final years. Edward Andrews died of a heart attack in 1985 at age 70. His estate, once substantial due to a long Hollywood career, had dwindled to an estimated $400,000 due to poor investments and medical costs. He died alone in his Beverly Hills apartment. Slappy White, who appeared in a single episode of Sanford and Son as Melvin, was 52 when he stepped into the role of a fast-talking, street-smart hustler, reflecting his real-life comedic roots. A former vaudevillian and a respected stand-up comic, White had toured with legends like Redd Foxx and Dinah Washington. Yet beneath the laughter, his personal life was laced with sorrow. He married thrice, each marriage ending in painful divorces. His second wife, dancer Pearl Bailey, left him after only a year, citing irreconcilable differences and accusing him of gambling and heavy drinking. He had no biological children, though he adopted a stepson, Leon, with whom he lost contact in the late 1980s. Despite his friendships with fellow comedians, White battled severe depression, especially after suffering a minor stroke in 1990 that ended his touring days. Financially strained due to medical bills and a failed nightclub investment, he was forced to perform occasional local gigs to stay afloat. Slappy White died in 1995 at age 74 from cardiovascular disease. At the time of his passing, his net worth had dropped to under $100,000. He was buried without much fanfare, and only a handful of fellow performers attended his modest funeral in Las Vegas. Noam Pitlick, known to Sanford and Son audiences as Officer Swanhauser in 6 episodes between 1972 and 1975, was 39 when he first took on the role, a bumbling, by-the-book cop who often clashed humorously with Fred Sanford's antics. Though he gained attention for his comedic timing and deadpan expressions, Pitlick found greater success behind the camera, eventually directing over 100 episodes of various sitcoms. Despite professional acclaim, his personal life was filled with solitude and quiet regret. He was briefly married to actress Linda Kelsey, but their union ended in a swift divorce after just 2 years, reportedly due to his workaholism and emotional distance. He never remarried and had no children, often describing himself as a man too tired for love. Pitlick struggled with chronic back pain that limited his mobility in the 90s, leading to a reclusive lifestyle in his final years. Friends said he was haunted by the fear that he'd be forgotten in Hollywood. He died of lung cancer in 1999 at age 66. His modest estate, primarily consisting of directing royalties and a modest Pasadena home, was valued at approximately $650,000. He left much of it to the Directors Guild Foundation and a local cat rescue. Frank Nelson, who took on multiple comedic roles in Sanford and Son, always playing characters with exaggerated smugness and his iconic catchphrase, "Yees," appeared in 6 episodes between 1972 and 1977. By then in his early 60s, he was a veteran of radio and television comedy. His career spanned decades, but fame never translated to personal peace. He was married once to actress Viola Vaughn, with whom he had one son, Ronald. Their marriage lasted over 30 years, yet those close to them said it was riddled with long silences, mutual jealousy, and constant professional rivalry. After Viola's passing in 1995, Frank became a recluse, rarely seen in public. Even in earlier years, he suffered from chronic insomnia, anxiety attacks, and was hospitalized twice for nervous exhaustion. Despite his quick wit on camera, Nelson battled depressive episodes, especially after being typecast and overlooked for serious roles. His final acting jobs were voiceovers, which he accepted reluctantly. Frank Nelson died in 1986 at age 75 due to cancer. His estate was worth approximately $300,000, most of which he willed to a theatrical retirement home in Woodland Hills. Nelson was remembered by peers as a comic genius who never quite found peace beyond the stage. Which character from Sanford and Son, 1972 to 1977, holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel knowing that some of the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.